Food insecurity is a huge problem in the United States. In fact, a study conducted by Feeding America, a nationwide food bank organization, found that more than 38 million people in the country struggle with hunger. According to the Washington Post, this number is not getting better and is expected to grow dramatically in the coming years. Although every community in the country sees these issues, urban areas see much higher rates of food insecurity. People widely believe that a leading cause of this is due to the lack of access to grocery stores, or a phenomenon known as food deserts. The USDA reports that 33% of the U.S. population does not live within a 10-minute drive from a major grocery store. And although in major cities, food insecurity is more of a class disparity issue than one of proximity, unhealthy food is much more popular in lower income areas, and some people believe that this is a choice. James Bacon of Bacon Rebellion Times says, quote, "Poor people have a naturally unhealthy taste in food and put less value in nutrition," unquote, when in fact this is not at all true. Healthy food is getting increasingly difficult to purchase for lower income individuals. A study by the New York Times found that unhealthy energy-based food, or junk food, costs about $1.76 per 1,000 calories, whereas healthy nutritious food, such as produce, costs about $18.16 per 1,000 calories, and this gap is only getting wider. Michael Hobbs of the Huffington Post writes about the situation of someone who has a small money to spend on food. They would be much more likely to buy a lot of high-calorie foods for a lower price rather than a small amount of fresh ingredients for a much higher price that would last them a much shorter amount of time. Part of the reason the price gap between healthy and unhealthy foods is so vast is the standards that fresh food is held to. This orange is perfectly fit for human consumption, and it contains the same amount of nutrients as its counterpart that seems more appealing. However, it would still be thrown out by produce companies for not meeting their standards. The RTS found that 30 to 40% of produce grown by farmers never gets consumed. One of the largest contributing factors is the incredibly high standards fresh produce is expected to meet before it hits the shelves. Most grocery stores would reject the quote unfit food, wanting to boast that they only serve the highest quality produce, discarding the food that does not meet their standards and effectively increasing the price of the sellable produce. Another type of store, dollar stores, are incredibly inexpensive and a popular location for cheap grocery shopping. These types of stores are becoming increasingly popular in the United States. In fact, CNN found that nearly 1 in every 3 stores opening in 2021 in the United States is a Dollar General. An article from Consumer Reports reported that about 75% of the United States population lives within 5 miles of a dollar store. Both produce waste and food insecurity are huge problems in the United States. However, there is a solution. Produce that is fit for human consumption but would otherwise be discarded could be transferred to convenience stores. The food would be bought and sold at a discounted price due to its imperfections, and this policy would help reduce waste and promote healthier eating habits in America. It would be operated through the government, specifically the United States Department of Agriculture. The USDA has already shown a major interest in reducing food waste, as they are working with the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, to enact the Food Loss and Reduction Goal, a plan to cut food waste in half by the year 2030. The USDA would be in charge of allocating grant money to areas in need. Most convenience stores do not have the proper equipment to store produce, so they would be allowed an amount of money to help build storage areas. And since the stores most likely would not be too enthusiastic about this policy at first, it would be incentivized by offering a tax deduction to all stores that decide to participate. The USDA would also employ people to transport the produce and work with the local government to identify the best areas to target. Community action councils are a great way to work closely with the local government in rural areas, so the USDA would team up in the applicable areas. The policy would target various regions, including both rural and urban areas throughout the country at first, to work out any issues and improve the system before moving to a much larger national scale. Unlike other programs, such as SNAP or WIC, this is available to all consumers, no matter their financial status. In addition to this, the policy would also lower overall produce prices, as a higher percentage of produce grown would actually be used instead of thrown away. And since this policy would result in a higher amount of produce being purchased, it would also benefit the farmers, especially if it targets small, locally owned farms. Since the policy is going to be enacted by the government, lobbying power should be fairly easy to gain, especially from organizations such as the Farm Bureau, since it provides profit to the farmers. By relocating otherwise discarded food, the rate of food waste would dramatically decrease, and it would promote healthier eating habits and a lifestyle at a national level and make fresh produce even more affordable and accessible to people who struggle with food insecurity. I believe that this policy puts us one step closer to saving the world.